Hi, it's Fiona, and welcome to Food Cycling 101, where I hope to answer any questions that you've got about what is food cycling and why might it be something that you want to have a look at. Now, if you've got questions, you probably know the drill. If you're coming on live, just type them in. I'm going to keep an eye. And if you're watching the replay and you go, oh, right, I'd like to know whatever, then tap in #replay and question, and then write your question so I can come back and have a look. So food cycling is formally, I started this about 3-4 years ago, possibly. Some of you might remember this, and it was called diet cycling. And I've very deliberately taken the word diet out because I know it puts some people off, and call it food cycling, which is actually a more accurate way of saying what it is. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about why and what, and hopefully cover questions that you've got. And all the details will be given in the program, and I'll tell you a bit about the program and how you can join. So yeah, let me begin. I've got some notes and I'm really going to try and stick to them, but if things come up and if you ask questions, I will obviously answer those as we go along. So what it is, it's a way of eating. It's very definitely not a diet. It's a way of eating which helps your body become more hormonally efficient, which is perfect if you are around perimenopause, menopause and beyond, because we need that help. And also helps you become more digestively efficient. So in saying all of that, your body becomes just generally more efficient, which is one of the reasons why it can help with energy and boosting mood, because we're doing those things a lot more efficiently, right? And it's based on intermittent fasting, or time restricted feeding, you might even know it as, which I know quite a few of you do some intermittent fasting. And there's a reason why intermittent fasting stops working. There's a reason why any form of dieting doesn't work full time if there's too much restriction going on. Now, there are lots of different schools of thoughts about this. Hi, whoever's watching. Lots of different schools of thoughts about this, but generally speaking, hi, Nicola. Hi. Generally speaking, if we go on any kind of restriction, eating-wise, our body then very quickly adapts. And you may have heard this before, that when you restrict too much, your body thinks you're going into famine mode. And what it does is it then reduces your metabolic rate so that you've just now got a new set point with your metabolism, whereas your metabolism might have been burning off, let's say, I don't really talk about calories, but let's say 2,000 calories a day. If you drastically reduce, then it adapts. So anytime then you stop whatever it is that you're doing and start eating more, your body's got this new set point, and then therefore you might find that you're getting a little bit heavier. Now, I don't really talk too much about losing weight per se or being slimmer, but I do know that that is a very real desire for many women, particularly around perimenopause, menopause and beyond. And in myself as well, I noticed that. So completely being transparent here. And it's mainly because we tend to get this around the middle, which is it's not something that you feel good about when you're kind of bloated in the tummy all the time. And there are hormonal reasons why that happens. I'll explain those in a minute. But for me, I go, I don't want to buy new clothes. I don't want to have to go and buy a whole new wardrobe, when what I know is this is stress weight. When we put it on around the middle, it is known as stress weight. If you put weight on around your bum and thighs, that's known as, what's the other one? A thyroid. So that's a hormone, that's different hormones, but that's to do with your thyroid, and weight around the middle is to do with your adrenal glands, in a nutshell. So why does this happen to women around perimenopause and menopause? Well, I do have a video where I explain this in a bit more detail, but just to give you the overview on this, is because there's changes in hormones which mean that we are less sensitive with our insulin, but we also crave more carbohydrates. So even if you just crave carbohydrates, if you don't fit into that perimenopause, menopause category, if you eat a lot of carbohydrates, also known as having a sweet tooth, right? Which I know I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. If you fall into that category, then it's a little bit of a stressor for the body, to be honest with you. If you eat a lot of carbohydrates, it turns into sugar in the body, also known as glucose, and our bodies can't cope with very much. Now, it's the same if you drink your carbohydrates, by the way, in the form of alcohol. Our bodies can only cope with 2 teaspoons of sugar in the blood at any one time. Otherwise, we are turning to insulin in the pancreas to come and take any excess sugar out of the blood and put it into the muscles. But if the muscles have still got their store, it goes to the liver. If the liver's still got its store, guess where it goes? Bang round the middle. And because some changes mainly to do with estrogen, which has over 400 functions, but because of these hormonal changes at perimenopause and beyond, then the upshot is that we are not working very efficiently with insulin. We are also more stress reactive, and any stressor in the body can trip the insulin response, which means that it's going actually not the insulin response, the opposite of the insulin, to stick sugar into the blood. It thinks it's fight or flight. It doesn't know that you've just had an email from your boss, which you're like, argh. So that kind of stressor just dumps a load of sugar into the blood, which, oh, guess what? We already know what happens. There's more than 2 teaspoons of sugar in the blood, and you're not running away from a burning building. That is very likely to go to that handy storage space around the middle. So hopefully that gives you an idea of why, if that resonates with you, that you're going, oh my gosh, yeah, I've always wondered why I've got this extra little bit around the middle. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm explaining what it is. And if you're happy with that, that's fine. But I know that some of you, me included, go, what can I do about this? Well, we can make our bodies more efficient. And the key to that is, drumroll, is in food cycling, or a form of intermittent fasting. So whereas intermittent fasting, if you're doing the same thing all the time, your body gets used to it. So part of it is we're kind of tricking the body in a way into going, so the body goes, oh yeah, I know. On a Tuesday, we don't eat till 12. On a Thursday, we stop eating at 6. Your body gets used to the same things. There's exactly the same way as it does with exercise. If you do the same thing all the time, after a period of weeks, if you're lucky, a couple of months, your body's like, yawn. We know what's happening. It's always the same. We always have this breakfast. We always have this lunch. And then it starts to go into some kind of a decline. It certainly does with exercise. And with food, it just gets bored, and it just becomes its new set point. Nothing changes. Intermittent cycling, if you really truly do it intermittently, randomly, is a good thing to do. And sometimes we naturally do that, right? If you have a lie-in at the weekend, you have a later breakfast, or you may be too busy to eat one evening. So that's a very natural way of doing intermittent fasting. One of the key things with it is the amount of hours, the number of hours we go overnight without eating, because that is where we start to give the digestive system a rest, and we start to build a little bit more growth hormone, which is key. We want growth hormone. We're never going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, particularly post-menopause and beyond, but having some growth hormone helps with keeping the muscle tissue. We want muscle tissue, yes, which is another key for post-menopausal women, is to maintain, and even if you can, build a little bit of muscle tissue. Anyway, I'm sidetracking a little bit. So, intermittent fasting is good, but regular intermittent fasting is, body going, oh, whatever, yeah, we know this is what's going to happen. And in food cycling, what we have, and I love this, and I think you'll love it too, is we have a feast day. So intermittent fasting can be done in a variety of different ways, but the food cycling has, generally speaking, you might have some normal days, you might have some intermittent fasting days, we might have a fast day, also really juicy, and there's different ways to do the fasting, and a feast day. So the body's going, oh, hang on, I don't know what day it is. Is it a fast day? We're just going to keep on our toes metabolically. So it helps with insulin when we have longer gaps in between food. It gives insulin a breather, so it's not continually being asked to jump up and be active. We become more digestively efficient. And when we're having these longer gaps some of the time, it just helps the body just switch off all of the hormone responses and just go, okay, thank you very much. Because if you're eating more regularly than every 4 to 6 hours, every time you do that, then your body is going to be producing insulin, which is a stressor for the body. It's almost like this repetitive strain injury for insulin in a way. Just, can you imagine? It's like calling the police out every time. You think there's going to be a fight going on, and the police going, okay, here we come. Oh, okay. And again, and again. And your insulin, your pancreas doesn't get a rest. So hormonally, it's really good to stretch the time. So the net result of this is the body just calms. We can reduce inflammation in the body. Being able to stretch the time in between eating is actually quite a powerful thing to do, and that in itself is very energizing. So that gives a little bit of a flavour about food cycling, why and what. Now, where I do food cycling different to people who do intermittent fasting programs, stuff like that, and this is completely optional, is I do energy work. So this is when it gets so bespoke to you. I could just put out some kind of a program and say, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have one fast day, one feast day, and 5 intermittent fasting days. Job done. And yes, that's going to work for some of you, but the beauty in being bespoke, in you tuning into what's right for you, is everybody's days are going to look a little bit different. We've got the framework that we all work to, and you might not even need to do energy work. You might need to go, right, this is very practical for me. I can only do my feast day on this day. I can only do my intermittent fasting on a Tuesday and a Friday. But if you want to get in a bit deeper and get some even better results and feel that you're really owning it and be empowered by it, I highly recommend doing the energy work, where you tune into your body's wisdom and you go, okay, how long is best for me to fast overnight? Is it 12 hours? Is it 13 hours? It's 13 hours. And so those little tiny tweaks make it really pertinent and unique to you. Yours will be different to mine. And then everyone's happy. It's not specifically one size fits all. The general principle works for women, particularly, like I say, post-menopause and beyond, or even going through menopause, because we want to calm the stress response down. We want to be able to go, and relax, but at the same time, be energized. And at the same time, maybe lose some of that around the middle, if that's what you want. So hopefully that answers any questions. I know I've got some people watching and I can't see questions on my phone. So if you have asked something, I'll come back and have a little look. I'm not sure why Facebook changes how it works sometimes. So that in a nutshell is what it is. I'm offering it for 2 weeks. We will have 3 group calls where you can come along and do some coaching if you want to. I'll be explaining a bit more about some of the things that come up and how to deal with those things. So 2 weeks is a really nice length of time to get into the rhythm of it. It's a really nice length of time to give your body a break from what you're doing. And then if you want to continue, you'll have all the tools at your disposal to know how to take this going forward Or maybe you might want to introduce it once every season. That's a really lovely thing to do, to just kind of go, okay, every 3 months I'm going to do this for a couple of weeks. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm really excited to be doing this again, because I know how brilliant you can feel. Sometimes not at the beginning, but certainly when you get into the stride and you really get into it, and you know that it's bespoke for you, then yeah, I'm excited. So I'd love to have you if you're resonating with what I'm saying, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.